The Wazatco Shatco Uva Go Pro Automatic Projector. Whew, I recently bought this with my own money. That's empty. And I couldn't really find a lot of great reviews online, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna review it. I'm gonna sit here and review it like a proper tech YouTuber. No fancy intros, no shenanigans, no jokes, no promises. Just a nerdy deep dive into this projector, which I believe is only available in India. Actually, does that mean I should do this like it's an Indian tech YouTube video?
Projector chahiye? Ye wala life-changing hai. Chalo bhai.
Goosebumps. I blame Mr. Who's the Boss, and he's British, so that can't be offensive, can it? Can it? I bought this from Amazon for 12,899 rupees, which is about $150, I reckon. And here is the exact listing. Wazatco Uva Go Pro, fully automatic, native 1080p, Android 13.0, smart projector, autofocus, auto 4D keystone, 4 times brighter, 4K HDR support, rotatable design, Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth, screen mirroring, ARC, black. Isn't 4D the thing where they squirt water at you and your cinema seat vibrates? All right, why don't we take a look at what comes in the box? The projector, sort of ideal, really. A power cable, not very long, boo. A generic sort of remote, fine, I guess. A tiny user manual concertina, fun. Oh, and an HDMI cable. That's a nice bonus. Get rid of those. So the unit itself is one of those long, pointy jawns that has this ability to angle so that you can watch beach volleyball on the ceiling of your bedroom or whatever. But that's kind of ideal because in my flat, it's going to be sitting on a coffee table pointing diagonally up at the white wall behind me. I don't have a projector screen. I don't think most people have a projector screen. And in this story, I am most people. Around the back, you'll find a power button, clicky. On the side, you've got your classic HDMI port, you've got a USB in, and you've also got a little headphone out in case you want to run a cable all the way across your lounge into your hi-fi like the good old days. And underneath the base, there's a little screw mount, so you can pop this bad boy on top of a tripod. Handy. Unfortunately, there's no lens cover or cap, which means all the time it's not in use, it's kind of exposed to the elements, unless, like me, you put the little bag that it came in over its head like you're kidnapping it and stuff it underneath the TV cabinet. Or find a little cleaning cloth and attach it over the front with a piece of tape. The spirit of Jugaad is alive and well. So yes, for additional context, I can't have this sat somewhere permanently. So my plan with buying this one was that it would be as frictionless as possible, from taking it out of the cupboard, plugging it in, popping it on the table, pressing play, and watching whatever I wanted. So let's plug her in and take her for a spin, eh? Really creepy. Yeah, the power cable is definitely too short. If you were putting it on a tripod, it would barely reach the floor. Not frictionless. Now, I don't remember my exact criteria for buying this one aside from not too much money, please, but automatic keystone and focus was definitely top of the list, and that is where the flippy floppy angle stand comes in. So the theory is you can place this pretty much anywhere, and then the machine's internal wizardry will level out the picture and focus with 4D magic. And to be honest, it works pretty well as long as you are positioning it straight on. The vertical keystone is very good, but if you start being at an angle, that's where you start getting a weird trapezoid style shape. Obviously, the more aggressively rakish the angle is that you put it, the more the obvious difference will be between the brightness and the focus at the either ends of the picture. So ideally, you want to get it as straight on to your wall or screen as you can, but that involves a tripod, and like I said, I'm going for frictionless. No tripod for this guy, but you can still adjust all these settings later in the menu. Ah yes, the menu, the user interface. Android 13 from 2022, and yet somehow this OS looks like a DVD player from 2005. Does it work? Yes. Is it pretty? Definitely not. Now, it comes with Netflix installed, but it is not a Netflix certified projector, which means it ain't meant to be running it. Effectively, the one they've installed is the mobile version, which does kind of work. I don't think it runs at full resolution. It's probably 720, and you also have to navigate it using a mouse, but with the tiny remote. It's basically not great. The good news is, because it's Android, you get access to the Google Play Store, so you can get all your favorite apps from there. Plus, you can sideload things. Of course, in an ideal world, you would plug in your favorite streaming stick or box, Fire Stick, Apple TV, whatever, and skip past this whole built-in OS and get access to all your favorite stuff that way. But it's a cheap projector, and spending an extra $40 on a Fire Stick's basically added, well, $40 onto the total, but that's nearly a third of the price. I just want plug, play, let's go. What's this? Why is there guns? Yeah, despite giving it all that in the video, I did have to capitulate eventually if I wanted to watch full resolution Netflix and dig through an old cupboard to find an OG Chromecast, which kind of worked. Thankfully, my frustration / curiosity got the better of me, and a quick Google of, please, there must be a better way for my projector to launch things, unearthed Project Ivy Launcher, or wait, Project TV? Oh no, this is Caliber all over again. How do you pronounce it? Tell me in the comments. Project Ivy Launcher, which is exactly for these situations. It's a replacement launcher for Google TVs and projectors that turns the DVD menu into something resembling a nice operating system. Very customizable. There is the option to upgrade to a premium version, which I have not, because it basically does everything I need. And if you give it access to the accessibility settings, you can make it so that it's the default menu and you never have to see the monstrosity again. Win. So now that she's up and beaming, let's talk about brightness. Since, according to the listing, it is 4 times brighter. Brighter than what?
No further questions will be accepted at this time, thank you.
All we do know is that it's 1080p and it supports 4K inputs. Fine. But really though, how do you measure brightness in a scientific way and explain it on a video? Well, I don't know. However, there is a guy with a YouTube channel called The Hookup who does really in-depth tests on projectors, so have a look over there and you can maybe learn some stuff that's good to look out for. Big fan of that channel. However, he is based in the US and this projector is only available in India, so we're on our own. Anecdotally, in a completely dark room, it looks okay. I don't have a row of other projectors to compare it to, and I imagine nor do you, so you just kind of have to imagine. It's cheap. It's not amazing, but it's pretty good. Here's a shot of the TV on underneath it for some kind of weird comparison. I've set the exposure for the TV, so maybe that gives you an idea. Maybe. Does it? Who knows? But once you put on some lights, or nature's big light, the sun, you're kind of out of luck. You really need to use this in a completely dark room, unless you live in a bunker, or I guess the UK in winter. Anyway, like Batman or whoever said that, darkness is your friend. Is that a quote? Anyway, you want to watch this with all the lights off. And if that's the case, you get a pretty watchable picture. This guy is beaming at
approximately 63
inches. Now, apparently this thing has a contrast ratio of 6,000 to 1, which makes me think, what the flute is a contrast ratio? There is a picture quality menu which features a few presets like sport and vivid, but when you're in this menu, you can't actually see the content that you're watching, so you can't really see how it is affected by changing the mode. It has a few pictures that rotate, but they rotate so quickly that by the time you've switched the mode, it's onto the next picture and you can't really see what's being affected. You can also change things manually, but those sliders are a bit eh. Also, I found that Caucasian skin tones had a very pinkish hue, and the one slider missing from the picture quality menu was tint, so I couldn't really do anything about that. However, after I'd got a bit frustrated, I factory reset it, and it seems a bit better now. Your mileage may vary. You can also connect to your mobile, Android or iPhone. It has Miracast and AirPlay and a couple of other things. I tried it with AirPlay and it seems to work pretty well. So now you can show all your friends that video where you held your phone in the air at a gig for 5 minutes and it looks and sounds completely shit. You can also plug in a USB stick and I guess play stuff off there, but I don't actually own a USB stick, so I didn't really try that. However, I did plug it in via HDMI into my laptop and that works as expected, but it is very laggy. So when you move the mouse, then it moves the pointer afterwards, which I suspect means this is not gonna work for gaming. In terms of sound, I think broadly, unless a projector is marketed as having great speakers, you'd have to be a psycho to use the built-in one. Predictably, the one on here is dog shit. It sounds like a tinny mobile phone. But we fully expected that, so I can't be mad. Also, even if it's got good built-in speakers, if the thing's behind you, it's just gonna be weird watching something over there with the sound coming from over there, right? This means you need an external speaker or soundbar to make the most out of this, or pretty much any cheap projector. Thankfully, I have an alright soundbar and it connects via Bluetooth, although sometimes the connection goes off. It's a cheap projector. However, prior to having a good soundbar, I got a lot of mileage out of this guy. It's a JBL Flip 4. Several generations old, but these things are very affordable, especially if you buy them secondhand at CEX, whenever you want to sponsor me, guys. And they really pump out a, I would say, almost room-filling sound. You can surely find a cheap local alternative, but something like this is great for these projectors. Yeah, I know I said I wanted it to be plug and play and no extra expense, but the sound thing is kind of a non-negotiable, so you do need to already have or be willing to invest in an external speaker or soundbar. A quick word about fan noise. I don't have the decibel levels, but I'll tell you this much. Obviously, it completely depends on where you've positioned it in your room, but if you've got a decent soundbar blasting out sound at a nice level, I don't think it will be enormously distracting. All told, if this is your first foray into projectors, it's a fairly safe bet. It's got a good enough image to give you that cinema in your house feeling, which is arguably what we're all striving for. In this price range especially, there are hundreds of projectors to choose from, and a lot of them are hot trash, so this little fella is not a bad start. And if you are about to start, you're in the market for a projector, I'd say one of your first questions should just be, how much am I willing to spend? Put a limit on it, because there's projectors from $50 to $50,000 and almost at like $10 increments all the way down. You will never stop finding new options. So that is a great way to start narrowing. As I record this video in August 2025, at 12:53 p.m. apparently, the projector is actually even cheaper. It's currently $11,900 on Amazon. However, Wuzatco appear to be replacing these Uva models with newer ones that are Netflix certified and have a slightly more manageable OS, so you're probably going to have to dig into that as well. Ultimately, I think although Wuzatco is an Indian company, these projectors are just rebadged generics from China, since none of the models in the same range have the same looks or feels about them. You get what you pay for, but that can be quite good. If you can find one cheap, say around 10K or less, and you know you've already got the other things you need, an external speaker, possibly a streaming stick if you've got bigger demands, then it's a pretty good bet. All right, well, I hope that about wraps it up. Did I miss anything? I know you've already written it in the comments below. But if you do have any questions, I will do my best to field them down there. Remember, I am not a scientist. I only own this one projector, but I'll do my best. If you, like me, are into tech stuff, then you might enjoy this playlist of my other more in-depth, higher production value videos with more bells and whistles and jokes and what have you. In the meantime, be nice. I'll see you in the next one.